Welcome to today's session on how to use the Peristomal Skin Assessment Guide for consumers. It is a free, easy-to-use mobile tool that provides basic guidance for teens and adults living with an ostomy. It is designed to help identify common skin problems, provide next steps for care or management, and prompt when appropriate to seek care or support from a wound, ostomy, and continence nurse or nurse specialized in wound, ostomy, and continence care. Our main presenter today, walking you through the guide, is Laurie McNichol. Laurie is a master's prepared geriatric nurse practitioner and a board-certified WOC nurse. Laurie has specialized in the field of wound, ostomy, and continence care nursing for nearly 30 years. She has several publications and is an internationally known lecturer on ostomy care. Later in the presentation, she will be joined by Christine Kim, who is living with an ileostomy since 1994 and is the founder of the website OstomyConnection.com. Please welcome Laurie.
Hello, I'm Laurie McNichol. I'm pleased to introduce you to the Peristomal Skin Assessment Guide for consumers. This guide is a free, web-based tool available at psag-consumer.wocn.org. During this session, we'll discuss the purpose behind the tool, why it is a necessary resource for those living with an ostomy, and where individuals can access the tool when they are experiencing issues and need to make a self-assessment. We'll spend most of our time discussing how to use this guide by walking through a few different scenarios so you can see how the guide responds to different peristomal skin conditions. If you are viewing this session on your computer, you may choose to follow along with this part of the conversation on a separate internet-enabled device like your mobile phone or tablet, so you can become more familiar with using the guide. If not, you'll see visuals of what the guide looks like in this session. You will also see the type of information that the guide will provide you in the forms of tips, images, videos, or links to understand the likely cause or causes of a specific skin condition and how you yourself may manage it. We hope that this information empowers you to take your skin health into your own hands and ultimately in living your ostomy life. Let's first discuss the prevalence of peristomal skin complications. Skin complications around the stoma, called peristomal skin complications, or PSCs for short, continue to be a significant concern for those living with an ostomy. PSCs are a global problem. They are not restricted to one country, product, or healthcare practice. PSCs have an impact on quality of life and resource utilization. In addition to all of this, PSCs are prevalent. How do we know this? Over time and across the world, there has been a variety of research on peristomal skin conditions. While the numbers vary, you can see that the trend remains the same. Peristomal skin complications continue to be present among a large percentage of people living with stomas, with the overall average above 50%. Let's take a quick look at main categories of peristomal skin conditions covered in this guide. This tool helps to identify healthy skin, as well as different complications within two main categories, PMASD and PMARSI. When it appears you may have more challenging or unusual complications, we recommend you seek the assistance of a healthcare professional. The team of Wound Ostomy Continence and nurses specializing in wound ostomy continence who developed this guide also developed a similar guide for clinicians. The clinical guide has been broadly accepted and well received by many healthcare professionals who provide ostomy care. New to this team is a consumer advocate who has had a permanent ileostomy herself for many years. As an ostomate herself who also interacts with many more people in the community through her website and social media, we valued collaborating with her and understanding her perspective to validate that we were going in the right direction and to ensure that the words and visuals we were using made sense. Christine is here with me today, and I'd like to invite her to share a few quick thoughts.
Thanks, Laurie. Hello, everyone. I'd just like to say that it was an honor to be selected by the WOCN Society to represent the consumer's perspective and to work together with them to improve access to quality care, education, and resources for the ostomy community. The feedback I shared with them represented not only my personal experience, but the stories I have heard from hundreds of others I've connected with in the ostomy community. These nurses work so hard on our behalf, and this guide is a fantastic resource for us. I know you're excited to begin, so I'm going to hand this back to you, Laurie.
Thanks, Christine. And we'll hear a few more thoughts from you later on. Now let's dive in. You will see the homepage for the guide at psag-consumer.wocn.org. Once you click on the Get Started button, you'll land on a page that looks like this. This page explains the purpose of the guide. It also features several icons in the top right corner of the screen, which you will continue to see throughout your use of the guide for you to use at any time. Let's talk about them now. Feel free to pause this webinar at any time if you wish to explore an icon further on a separate device. Then come back to this screen and continue to play the presentation. The first icon takes you to the Acknowledgements page. The next icon will take you to a glossary of images and definitions for words that are used in the guide or for terms that might be used with ostomy products. The next icon will take you to the Resource page, which provides links to a broad range of support services and product manufacturers that is representative and inclusive to respect your freedom of choice. To clarify, support services includes how to contact a WOC nurse in the US or an NSWOC in Canada, as well as user support services provided by ostomy product manufacturers. The next icon will take you to the Instructional Overlay. Clicking this icon will overlay instructional text onto any screen in the guide to provide additional explanations. The last icon you see is the Home icon. This is important as it will take you back to the home screen of the guide at any time. In addition to these icons, you will see a back button in the upper left of your screen. Always use this button to navigate backwards when using the guide. Now that we have reviewed these basics, let's explore a few pathways. Click Start to begin. As we discussed earlier in this session, one of the goals we mentioned is to help people living with a stoma to truly understand what is meant by healthy peristomal skin. This is the first pathway we will explore. After clicking the Start button on the previous page, the first question you will see asks you, where is the skin damage? In this case, we will select that there is no skin damage. The next question we will be asked is, what color is the skin damage? In this case, we will select the first option of no skin damage and no lasting redness. You will note that the response does specify that it is okay if there is a change in skin tone under the skin barrier, because this is something commonly found for some people living with a stoma who have healthy peristomal skin. The next question we will be asked is, how does the skin look? You will see here that there are several options from which to choose. In this case, we will choose the first option, that the skin is intact. The final question we will be asked in this case is, what other information can you report? In our case, we are not experiencing any pain, lasting itching, or burning. We are also not having any issues with maintaining our pouch seal. So we will again select the first option. We have now reached our final screen in this pathway. The guide has assessed from the information we provided that our skin does not have any visible damage, rash, or redness, and that we are not experiencing other symptoms like burning or persistent itching. So we do in fact have healthy peristomal skin, and that our skin probably looks something like this. To help us maintain that healthy skin, the guide also provides several tips for better skin care, including techniques to maintain healthy peristomal skin. Some of these are how to measure your stoma size to ensure it has not changed, and assessing the adhesive side of the skin barrier at every pouch change for signs that stoma output is leaking under the barrier. Additional tips come in form of images, videos, or links to downloads that can further assist you with your self-assessment and care. One additional goal of the guide, which we discussed earlier, was to help you identify and address common peristomal skin complications. Let's explore another pathway to see what the guide will tell us when we report signs of a complication. If you are following along in the guide as you watch this session, click the Start Over in the upper right to return to the home screen to begin answering questions. In this second pathway, let's imagine that this is how our peristomal skin looks. We have redness immediately around the stoma and some scattered dots of rash around the edges. When I answer the first question, where is the skin damage, I will now select that I have an area of solid rash with scattered dots at the outer edge. The first thing that you will notice is, based on the information we provided, the guide has already been able to assess our skin condition. The guide will ask us fewer questions if it is able to provide us with an answer sooner. This is intended to make your experience using the guide as quick and as simple as possible. The guide suggests that we are experiencing fungal rash from peristomal moisture-associated skin damage, or PMASD. This is the clinical terminology that you can discuss with your healthcare professional. It refers to a skin condition that appears as an area of solid rash with scattered dots at the outer edge. The next thing the guide does is provide ways to assess and manage the probable causes of this peristomal skin condition. For our fungal rash that may have occurred due to moisture buildup under the pouching system, the guide has three main suggestions. First, it says to check the side of the barrier that adheres to the skin for overhydration and potentially change more frequently. It provides an image of what overhydration might look like. Next, it asks us to check our fit in case the moisture is due to the barrier opening not fitting closely around the base of our stoma, and provides an instructional video on how to measure our stoma. And finally, it suggests that we ensure that there is not wetness under our pouching system, such as making sure we thoroughly dry certain areas of the pouching system after water activities like bathing or swimming. The guide also provides some skincare recommendations for treating the impacted skin. In this case, it recommends use of an antifungal powder until the problem resolves, along with some additional instructions. It indicates we should seek additional assistance if there is no improvement after 14 days of following the recommended treatment. Lastly, it suggests some skincare tips that might help maintain healthy peristomal skin in the future. Let's go through one more pathway so you can see a different example of the guide in action. If you would like to follow along on your own device, please remember to click the home screen icon to start over at this time. In this third pathway, let's imagine this is how our peristomal skin looks. We don't have very much redness immediately around the stoma, but we do have several distinctive bumps at the hair follicles. When I answer the first question, where is the skin damage, I will now select that I have bumps or pimples at my hair follicles. Here, too, the guide has already been able to assess our skin condition. The guide suggests folliculitis from peristomal medical adhesive-related skin injury, or PMARSI. Again, this is the clinical terminology that you can discuss with your healthcare professional. It refers to a skin condition that appears as bumps or pimples at the hair follicles. Just as in the second pathway, the guide provides ways to assess and manage the probable causes of this peristomal skin condition. For folliculitis that may have occurred due to irritation of the skin as a result of pouching system removal, the guide has two main suggestions. First, it advises a recommended removal technique supported by video instruction and provides additional information regarding adhesive remover products for your consideration. Note, the WOCN Society and the guide does not endorse or support any specific brands or products. This is general product information. Second, the guide advises that removing the hair in our peristomal area prior to putting on our pouching system might be helpful to prevent trauma to the hair follicles, and advises some hair removal suggestions. The guide also provides us with some skincare recommendations for treating the affected skin. In this case, it recommends cleaning the skin and treating any open areas with stoma powder until the problem resolves. Also, it indicates to seek additional assistance if there is no improvement after 14 days of following the recommended treatment. Lastly, it suggests some skincare tips that might help maintain healthy peristomal skin in the future. We have walked through a few pathways of some more common skin conditions, but some of you might experience skin conditions that require professional help to identify. For example, if you were to indicate that you were experiencing the following, the guide would encourage you to seek referral from a clinician to better understand your skin complication. Damage away from your stoma that is red in color, deep skin loss which resembles a crater or drainage-like pus, lasting itching or burning, or inability to maintain a pouch seal for more than 24 hours. The guide will ask you to take two actions: to report your problem to a physician or other healthcare provider, such as a nurse practitioner or physician's assistant, and to contact a WOC nurse or NSWOC. This page provides a link to search for a WOC nurse through the WOCN Society, or search for a nurse specialized in wound, ostomy, and continence, or NSWOC, formerly known as an ET nurse, if you are in Canada. The guide will also suggest some interim interventions, but if it does encourage you to seek referral, please know that this is most important. This guide is not meant to replace advice from a medical professional. We are coming to the end of our session, so let's take a moment to highlight some of the key elements of the Peristomal Skin Assessment Guide for consumers. This guide is one large step forward in helping to close a gap between healthcare professionals and those living with a stoma in the community who seek better quality ostomy education and access to care. This guide helps to identify 4 main categories of peristomal skin conditions. For 3 of those categories, it provides a name and definition for more common conditions, steps to manage and help prevent them in the future, and when it might be appropriate to seek additional or elevated care from a healthcare professional. For the 4th category of potentially more serious or uncommon skin complications, the guide recognizes the need for referral. In all cases, the guide provides a wide range of easy-to-understand information, such as tips, instructions, images, and videos. Beyond that, it provides links to other resources, like how to find a WOC nurse or NSWOC, other support services, or access to product information from a wide array of product manufacturers. I'd now like to reintroduce Christine Kim, an ostomate who participated in the development team, to share some of her additional thoughts on the guide from her perspective as a consumer. Christine?
Thanks again, Laurie. As we all know, life in general, never mind life with an ostomy, can be complicated. But I can think of several different times in the life of an ostomate where this tool would be valuable. After we leave the hospital, there is so much going on. Everything is new, and we forget a lot, even though we've been shown many times. Having a tool to come back to with definitions and visuals and guidance is so valuable. And later on, there are many situations that can change, like we gain or lose weight, or we start new activities. So many people living in the community experience skin complications, and they have a huge impact on quality of life. It is so helpful to have access to care outside the clinic. I've noticed that the ostomy community turns to each other for help. There are hundreds of Facebook groups and forums, and I've found the #1 reason why people join them is because they know something is wrong, and they're trying to figure out what it is, how they can fix it, and they don't know where to go. I also want to say that being on these calls with the team creating this guide, it was so evident how much they truly care about their patients and how we are all in this together. I was in awe of how knowledgeable they were and how much they could help people living with an ostomy get back into life. This guide is so important to providing people like me with access to care.
Thank you, Christine. And thanks to all of you who joined this session. We hope that it has been helpful in providing you a resource to better understand the condition of the skin around your stoma, as well as empower you in your own care throughout your ostomy life. We also hope that this is a starting point for more and better conversations between people living with stomas and their healthcare providers. Remember that this guide is a free web-based tool which you can access on the WOCN website at psag-consumer.wocn.org. Thank you for participating in this example of ostomy awareness, education, and advocacy.